What's crack-lacking? It's your boy Barushmo, just in case you did not know so. And here it is, my 7-round mock draft. This took a lot of work. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're going to be doing these by draft classes. That way, well, you're going to just get to see who your team drafted. Keep in mind, I didn't really do trades in this. I only had 2 trades, one being in the first round, and then I did one in the second round because I thought it was like, I just assumed it's going to happen this way. Some way, somehow, this player is going to make it to this team. So no trades, which kind of puts me in a dilemma where, well, I'm not going to really reach far for a position if the value is not there. So I'm not going to hit up on all your team's needs. Just going to be frank about that. It's not going to happen. That's what free agency's for. Try to get your team as good as you can get it before you go into the draft. That way you don't have to sacrifice value. I'm more of a value-oriented guy, so I try to do a lot of scheme fits and try to stay true to my board. So enough talking. Let's get into it. And we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. We took Jalen Waddle in the first round. He ended up falling to us. I really liked that. Eric Stokes, I think he'd be a good fit for the defense they run there. Ramondre Stevenson, we grabbed a running back for y'all. Look at that. Look at that, a running back. Because is it Edmonds and Connor, I think, are free agents at the end of next year. And then Israel McWamu, I put him as a DB just because I don't think he sticks at corner. You're probably going to make him a safety. But getting Ambry Thomas, because I really kind of wanted to double dip at corner because I think the corner position needs a lot more depth and at least a lot more talent. So we did that there and then grabbed a nose in Slayton, a big body nose tackle. So we did that. For the most part, I thought we did a good job for the Cardinals. And maybe the first 3 picks I'm real confident about. The other 3, you just kind of hope they work out. And that's kind of what the second half of the draft is. You're drafting guys that either can make an immediate impact, you can see having a role in your offense or defense, or they got tremendous upside. It's going to be one of those 3 things. And then the Atlanta Falcons, we had a plethora of picks, and I thought we did a pretty darn good job. First, getting Patrick Surtain. They did a trade down here in the first round. And if you want to go check out the first round, I go in more in depth on why I picked who I picked. But we grabbed Surtain on the trade down. We also picked up an extra second rounder. So I went ahead. We have the extra second rounder. Grabbed ETN. I really like him in this defense. I think him and Mike Davis are a nice yin and yang. Richie Grant really wanted to help the secondary. If you couldn't tell with the Surtain pick. And then we also came back out Wiggins, who I think immediately can be a starter in the slot. Also, didn't really necessarily, I wanted to get an edge maybe a bit earlier. Just the value was never there. But I like Patrick Johnson. The guy's a worker, lacks length, but is what it is. Green's a good fit for the offense. Probably center. He could play guard too, depending on what the Falcons want to do with Matt Hennessy. John Bates, we got him a little bit later. He's got a nice big body. Could probably be at least a good blocker. Okadenji is a guy I really like. He's going to be at the very least a good edge setter. Good guy. Good run contain guy. And then, oh man, Josh. I'm going to call him Josh Allen. I'm still trying to get his name down. But good contested catch. He got bunnies. He got ups. And then KJ Britt, I think, is a solid run stuffer. So I don't think the Falcons necessarily have that at linebacker right now. They're more oriented towards, coverage, which I like that. But KJ Britt is a guy you can maybe swap in early downs. So I really like the draft class for Atlanta. And then the Baltimore Ravens, we grabbed Azeez Ojulari. I really like this fit for the Ravens. And then Jackson Carman, man, potentially, because I don't know what's going to happen with Orlando Brown. That was kind of the thing. So grabbing him at 58, I thought was very good value. Josh Myers may have been, I don't think it was a reach on my part, but there at the tail end of the third, it felt a bit early to me, but I think he'd come in and play center immediately, be an immediate upgrade over, I don't even know who's playing center right there, because Matt Skura is with the Dolphins. Seth Williams got a big body guy since Watkins probably isn't a long-term answer. Hamsaw Nazar Ildeen, I like him. He could be this, like, okay, right? Ravens, they love their safeties. They love having safeties. He's a guy you can maneuver around the line. Trey McKitty, a good blocking tight end with good size, good hands. Great hands, 11-inch hands. And Robert Jones, again, you know what the strength of this offense is. It's the run game. It's kind of what they're founded on. So Jones, a good gap blocking type of guard, but he does need some development. So I just want to keep replenishing the offensive line with, well, talent. And then on to who do I have next? The Buffalo Bills. We went Asante Samuel Jr. It may have been a bit early, but I talked about it in the first round video. If you want to check it out, I'm sure I got it in the iCard. Then we went Wyatt Davis. Just great value. I think immediately he comes in and he's your right guard. Forget Cody Ford. He hasn't been good. Jalen Darden is an interesting weapon we managed to grab late. I'm very intrigued at what he can do out of the slot for the Bills. We got Tonga, who, because your boy Star, he's more, I think, of an early down guy, while Tonga is actually a pretty good pass rusher from the interior at the nose position. So we grabbed him there. Hubbard, I don't want to grab y'all running back. I was going to be honest, but Hubbard came with good value. William Bradley Keene, he could be good depth at the edge position, but that was one thing I wish we could have hit earlier. It never came to be. And then Zach Davidson, just better upside than Dawson Knox at tight end, but Davidson's probably more of a developmental prospect right now. And then the Carolina Panthers, we went Rashawn Slater in the first. It's kind of a no-brainer. I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but I feel like that's kind of the popular pick right now. This one, not so much with Peyton Turner. And like I said, this was me kind of like trying to project what the Panthers may do. It feels like guard, yeah, it kind of feels obvious there, but I like the idea of Turner because Matt Rule coached him at the Senior Bowl, and he was very personal with him at the Senior Bowl. Turner, I have him listed as a D, not necessarily an edge, so I think you could have him on early downs, play on the outside, and then maybe shoot him to the interior on passing downs and bring in Yatir Gross-Matos. Again, I like that rotation there on the edge, but I also love the versatility of Turner to be able to kick it to the inside because they really just have big bodies. I mean, I think they just signed Daquan Jones too. They really just have big bodies on the interior. Tommy Tremble was hard to pass up, and I like to see what Joe Brady could do with a guy like that. Aaron Banks, it's not a sexy pick. He's more of a high floor guy than a high ceiling. Very low ceiling for him, but I think he's reliable and he could contend on the interiors, which is kind of what they need. Buddy Johnson, I liked his fit, very athletic linebacker. And Jack Anderson, I wanted to go in there again on the interior because the guard position for the Panthers just sucks. And the running back at Iowa State's a new guy I just kind of added to my list. I was pretty impressed with him, and I think he could definitely contend because the running back 2 position with Mike Davis gone, it's kind of up for grabs. So why not grab one late? So I really liked this draft class. I like getting Peyton Turner and Tommy Tremble rather than having to go out for a guard early, where you'd be like, oh, we need a guard way more than those positions, but it's like, but you got probably potentially Pro Bowlers at those positions by not having to sacrifice to value to grab a guard. That's why I kind of like this because I think Turner could be a monster. Tremble can too. Then the Chicago Bears. I did what I could Bears fans. I actually really like this draft too as well. Who would have thought, man? I like who I drafted for your teams. That's not always the case. Keep in mind, when I'm having a draft for every team, a lot of the guys I like will probably come off the board. Unless I think there's maybe something I could predict there. Maybe a specific scheme fit too. But value, it runs off the board quick. So not all of these draft classes are going to be great. Unfortunately, I can't. Who would have thought? I won't be able to do that. I did the best that I could for each team though. Newsome, I talked about that in my other video, why I like that for the Bears. Davis Mills, though, I think they could take the next quarterback off the board. I think some team's going to reach in the second, not reach, but I really have a lot of third round grades on like the next tier of quarterbacks after the first rounders. But I think Mills is probably the guy we're going to see. Him or Mond, maybe. Like, I think Trask is just cemented in the third. But I think him or Mond might go in the second. So I got the Bears grabbing him here. I mean, your starter's Andy Dalton. Why not grab Mills? James Hudson, he's more of a developmental guy. He won't start immediately, unfortunately. DeMar Hamlin, though, I really like. I think he could be a very good complement to an Eddie Jackson. Jalen Camp he's big, he's fast, he's raw, but he's got a ton of potential. And then Jalen Twyman, I just like him as a 3-4 end. And since they were kind of shopping, like, I guess Hicks was shopping himself. I forget now here that the camera's here and on what exactly happened with that situation. But just grabbing depth for that line. Trey Hill, just really a depth piece. He was falling, and I thought it was great value. And then Antonio Nunn is interesting. He's like a running back when the ball's in his hands. It's just he doesn't do a lot of wide receiver things too well. But overall, I really like this class for the Bears. And then here we go with the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is one I'm not entirely sure on. I just noticed I spelt Cincinnati wrong there on the graphic. I missed an N there. I'm sorry, Bengals fans. But so these first two picks with Chase and Little, this is a prediction on my part. I think that Joe Burrow is campaigning to get his boy Chase there in Cincinnati. And I've heard a lot of good things from the former longtime offensive lineman for the Bengals, Paul Alexander, who's training Little. A lot of positive things, so I'm just connecting dots there. So I think it could be Chase Little when it comes to the first, second round. And then I got him going Milton Williams. I want to, like, with Geno Atkins gone, let's get some explosiveness on the interior there. David Moore, I actually kind of like in this offense. He doesn't have a lot of snaps, man, but he's a big body center. Trey Hopkins, he probably won't be ready till like week 5, week 8. So I think grabbing Moore, and I hate to say this, throwing him to the Lions early on, it might be good to see what you got. I mean, I think he could survive for the most part, and maybe you don't want, like, when Hopkins is healthy, you don't even have to start him. Maybe Moore's playing well, but it's nice to have that option. Demetric Felton, scat back. I like the different things they could probably utilize him with, but at 149, I thought it was good value. Colin Granson, I just wanted to get a receiving tight end. And if you don't go early in this draft, then you're going to get guys where you don't feel great about. But, yeah, I grabbed him. He's more of like a big-bodied slot. But I grabbed him nonetheless there. I thought it was pretty decent value. Jonathan Cooper, it could be a good depth piece at edge. And then Riley Patterson. I included special teams in this. I got 6 special teamers, I think, altogether in the 7th-round mock. I think on average about 5 to 6 special teamers are taken every year in the draft. So, or at least over the last 5 years. So I also try to project what teams might go for kickers, punters, long snappers, and such. So, Bengals fans, I got you listed as one. So we grabbed Riley Patterson out of Memphis. Then on to the Cleveland Browns. This one was an interesting draft. I didn't feel great about the second half. Like, I think it's good value, but I think the Browns, they kind of have this luxury of they have a very good team, and they could really just grab depth or the best player available, Jamin Davis. I thought linebacker needs to be touched on. And Browns fans, you could be like, linebacker's not important. Why am I even going into this? He's a first rounder. Go to my first round video if you want to hear me talk about it. Joseph Asai, though, I really like him as an athlete. He could instantly get into that rotation on the edge. Levi Uzurike's a little explosiveness on the interior. He could be in the rotation there with Elliott, Malik Jackson. Yeah, Billings. I don't know how often Billings comes on the field, comes off the field. That's why I grabbed Jonathan Marshall a little later on, so that you have someone at the zero tech that could come on the field and well, be a big guy. It can't just be Billings. He's not a 3-down person. I grabbed Trey Brown, great value. I'm really high on him. I think he might not start right away, but you could find interesting ways to utilize him. Pete Werner, again, another issue where I was like, this is just good value, and it's a position they kind of suck at. And Dwayne Eskridge, I like the idea of Dwayne Eskridge. He's something different that they don't have right now in the receiving core. I grabbed a kicker. I grabbed my boy Adu. He's currently my top guy. Him or the Florida Cat, but I can't remember. Taron Jackson, though, nice depth piece. And it was this was literally at the tail end of the 7th round. So I was like, oh, let's grab the top guy off the board. All right, Dallas Cowboys. All right, we grabbed J.C. Horn. You could go to the first round video if you want to hear why that happened. Dylan Redens, it was just great value. He was falling. Get a guy who potentially could replace Tyrone Smith in the future. After that, we went back to being defensive heavy. Jamar Johnson, I like a lot. I think he's an immediate improvement over everything they have at safety. I think he'd be a good freelancer. Thomas Graham, I think, could challenge Jordan Lewis immediately in the slot. Tommy Tremble, I forgot an M. Man, my keyboard's kind of not working anymore. I think I got get a new keyboard. It's not registering all my keys. So yeah, there might be some grammatical errors here. My apologies. But Togiai is just he's a big bully. I think he'd be good get on the rotation. Joshua Kaindow, I wanted to grab a developmental edge with big upside. Chris Rumpf, I think he could come in and play the Aldon Smith role, which you could probably say the same thing about Kaindow. Anthony Schwartz, he go fast. Don't know the future of Michael Gallup, but Schwartz go fast. Graham, he is just a good run stuffer. That was a big issue for the Cowboys last year. And Sean Davis is actually, I think, could be a solid box safety in this class. So we grabbed him late. So I think this was a good class. And then here we are with the Denver Broncos. They had to trade up for Trey Lance. So I probably forgot to mention at the Cardinals pick that was where the other trade happened, the 2nd round trade. They ain't going to hear about it until much later. I had them trade with the Steelers. The Steelers moved up. And you'll find out why. It's kind of obvious once you look at it. But Trey Lance, they move up. Then they give up their 2nd rounder for him. And they swap first, and they give up a first in the 2022 class. But I went Davion Nixon just to get a little beefier on the D-line. There's nothing wrong with just adding talent. I like it. And he's a bit more of a developmental prospect anyway, just high upside. Jamie Sherwood didn't test out well, but I think he could be a very good box safety. I still believe that. Justin Hilliard, another guy that didn't test out well, but he's just a mean football player. I like that. Jarrett Patterson, just a good get at 191. Raymond Johnson, very, very violent hands. I really like him in this rotation, and he could make an impact immediately. Cole Van Lannon, Diamador Lenoir, these are just guys that we're looking to develop down the line maybe. And this is literally in the 7th round. You're just grabbing value at that point, and those guys were the value I ended up grabbing. Then the Detroit Lions, not working with a lot of picks, but we grabbed Sewell. Getting Elijah Moore in the 2nd round was pretty clutch. I don't know why. I'm on this kick of Andre Sisco going to the Lions as well. And then we grabbed Divine Deablo, but I really think he's going to be a linebacker. Apparently, a lot of the NFL views him as a linebacker anyway, which is great. Works out well here. Cornell Powell, real good get. I think he could be very Kenny Galladay-esque. So, and that's a good pairing with Moore. And then I grabbed Jamie Newman. He's going to fall much later. He might even fall like the 6th round. But why not grab him? Why not? Be like, whoa, we're going to grab quarterback next year. What if y'all win? What if y'all are winners? What if Goff leads y'all? Then you'd be still asking why Newman. But I think he's a good get. I mean, the Saints, they signed Jameis Winston. I could see a bit of Jameis Winston in Jamie Newman. Take that as a good thing or a bad thing, but I thought it was very good value. And then the Green Bay Packers, we grabbed Bateman early. I like Osa Odigizua for the Packers as a 3-4 end. Trey Smith, I think, is a very good scheme fit on the interior there. Elijah Griffin, he's not that big. He needs to put on pounds, unfortunately. But it's not an unfortunate thing. But I think before he can play, he needs to put on serious weight. I think he only came in weighing 176. But I think he could be a good scheme fit for Barry. Chaz Surratt ended up falling quite a bit, so we grabbed him. Brendan James, Nebraska tackle, very good pass blocker. Kerry Vincent, I mean, the Packers, they use a ton of subsets. Vincent is a subset guy. Isaiah McDuffie, I think immediately very good special teamer, but could find his way on the field. Javion Hawkins is actually a guy that Bosarowski got me on because he was talking about how he wants to find an upgrade for Tyler Ervin. And I mean, if you're going to do it late, I think Hawkins would be the guy. And then Keith Taylor, I like his length. I would like it if he could use it better, but we'll see. But we grabbed him just to add some more depth there at corner. And then the Houston Texans. I did the best what I could. I was just really grabbing best player available. Like we grabbed Perkins, we grabbed Palmer, even Bynum at that point, Kuntz, Gilbert. Like all those guys I think are very quality. Even Jacoby Stevens, who's probably going to be a linebacker. Tommy Doyle. Like again, I was just kind of going with best player available because this team feels like it's going to be in a rebuild next season. So I just wanted to grab talent this draft. Granted, their first pick ain't until the third round, but still, that was just kind of the mentality. I went with best player available. And then the Indianapolis Colts, we got Owe in the first, so I ended up grabbing Brady Christensen in the second. I'm probably a little higher on him than a lot of people are, than the consensus is, but I think you could put him at left tackle, and he'll be fine. Grabbed Semi Fehoko. He big, he fast, and I think it'd be very interesting. James Pinnock, though, I like this. He could be a guy that ends up unseating Rocky Sin. And I know you got Marvell Tell there, but I like this. I like this. You get some young guys to challenge for that cornerback 2 spot. And then Victor Dimukeje is just good edge depth late in the draft. Jacksonville Jaguars. You already knew we were going with Lawrence. We went Merrick as well. Then we grabbed Xavier Collins. I'm a bit interested in his versatility. And I think that'd be good for the 3-4 that they're trying to do there at in Jacksonville. Pat Freiermuth, the more I make this pick, because I feel like every time 45 it's Pat Freiermuth, the more I think it's probably not going to happen. I mean, Lawrence never really threw it his tight ends in college. So yeah, it might not be it. So that might change in any future like mock drafts. Alex Leatherwood. I like the idea of him potentially unseating former Alabama alum or Cam Robinson at left tackle. But I think at the very worst, you get a very good guard that unseats AJ Cann. Cam Sample, just another guy that really fits the scheme that the Jaguars are moving to. Skur Brown, I think, could actually contend in the slot immediately. They're just grab more depth there. I think they brought in, who did they draft? It was like Josiah Scott to be their slot guy. Maybe in the future, but at least that's ideally what they were trying to do. So we grab another Michigan State cat that maybe could challenge him. I really think it's going to end up being like Sidney Jones or Trey Herdon that plays slot. Amari Rodgers, hey, he was there, and he's got a rapport with Lawrence. I'll take it. Hufunga, I like the idea of moving him to linebacker. I really do. And then I grabbed the scat back, Puka Williams. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the slot. I like that versatility. That's a really good value at $249. The Kansas City Chiefs. We grabbed Cosme because we want to protect our quarterback. And then we did touch it up on that a little later with Drew Dahlman. They need competition at center. I would say they do, because I think Wiley's going to be currently the starter maybe there. We also grabbed Joe Tryon, who I was like, man, him making it to 63 I liked a lot. Tamarian Terry, I think that's an instant replacement for Sammy Watkins. He's not nearly as explosive, but I think he'd be a bit more reliable than Sammy Watkins. I'm a big Tamarian Terry fan. Deo Oganyingbo was just very good value, and I like the idea of maybe kick him inside on passing downs. Dylan Moses, freak athlete. Why not take a shot on that? Linebacker position's kind of weak there in KC. Tutu Atwell, it was late. Like, we're picking him late in the draft, so yeah, why not take a shot on Tutu? He is a playmaker. The Chiefs could do fun things with him. And then DJ Daniel, I see kind of more as a safety. So, and the Chiefs, they like to run 3 safety sets a lot. So, someone to challenge, because Sorensen, I don't think is that good. I know he's a fan favorite, but I don't think he's that good. Not in coverage, at least. Then the Los Angeles Chargers. We took Darisaw. You got to protect your investment. And then I grabbed a couple of corners. Ifeatu Melifonwu, who I think could be a banger of a starter. Maybe not immediately, but I think Paulson Adebo can be a good starter immediately. Someone to start across from Michael Davis while maybe Melifonwu develops. But bam, that's kind of ideally what my future cornerback tandem is there in LA. And then Tylan Wallace, I like the value there. You can play outside or in the slot. Derek Forrest too, I think is perfect for Staley's system. He can be one of those like split high type of safeties. Bobby Brown, I'm wanting to grab a nose tackle. He's got good potential. And it's not like he's going to start immediately with Linval Joseph there. Jamar Jefferson, why not? It's not worse than what you got in Joshua Kelly, so get someone to challenge him as running back too. Sedarius Hutchinson, I think, is a good scheme fit. And then we grabbed a punter because y'all needed a punter based on my research. Presley Harvin, very interesting guy. Didn't really hear about him until a couple of days ago. Did some research. Then we got the Rams, also a team with limited picks. Grabbed Nick Bolton. We grabbed Hainsley. I like this pick for the Rams because he's got a ton of versatility all over the interior line, so he can kind of fit wherever you need him to. Grab Tyler Shelvin to play nose, or at least to be there in the rotation. Drake Jackson, he's a good scheme fit. Don't know if he becomes an immediate starter, which means maybe Hainsey is more of a guard here, but more offensive line help don't hurt. Briley Moore, I know they got Bryson Hopkins last year, but I really like Moore's athleticism, so it doesn't hurt, man, adding talented playmakers. And then Hamilcar Rashed, I think he's going to be drafted. I'm not that high on him, though, but he has some off-ball capability, or at least it's in the works. So I think he'd be a good fit here for the Rams. And then the Las Vegas Raiders. Went with Christian Barmore in the first, and then we grabbed Javon Holland. I love the versatility. He can play in the slot. I think he can play deep. He could even play maybe on the outside. And we actually grabbed Caden Stearns, who I think actually should move to the outside, that corner. So it was very interesting. I really wanted to address the secondary. So we could have maybe Stearns developing on the outside. We grabbed Bryson Thompson because I think he could be a very good slot corner in the league. And then we got Holland, who potentially is the deep safety. Spencer Brown, he's a bit of a developmental prospect, but very imposing size and kind of freaky athlete for his size too. Monty Rice, I think, is just a solid linebacker. Might not get in the mix early, but he can. Austin Watkins, he's a big-bodied route runner, very good route runner. I think he could be a very good target for Derek Carr. And Larry Borum, just some more. Obviously, they kind of gutted the offensive line because they didn't want to be there anymore. So Larry Borum could be a solid guard. I think I could have addressed the offensive line maybe a bit better, maybe a bit earlier. But sometimes that's just the way the draft goes. You're not going to be able to hit all the positions. I tried. I didn't want to sacrifice value. Like I'm not going to lie to y'all. Spencer Brown for me at 79 is pretty early. I felt like that was a reach, but there we go. The Miami Dolphins. We grabbed Pitts. We grabbed Parsons. I felt really good about that. Then I was like, screw it. Let's go Dickerson. I think he'd be Skura is more of a replacement level starter. Javonte Williams, because why not, man? We were there. Why not? But Tyson Campbell fell to us. And you might be like, we don't need a corner. I agree. But I think Tyson Campbell at 81 is just great value. Why pass on that? It doesn't hurt to have many talented corners in a passing league. We grabbed Quincy Roche late in the 5th to kind of be a pass rushing specialist. He's really just going to see the field on passing downs. Shi Smith, we grabbed that slot guy, maybe to challenge whoever's playing the slot. Is it going to be Lynn Bowden, Jakeem Grant, whoever? Could be Kyle Pitts. And then Awosika? I think I mispronounced that. He played tackle at Buffalo. I think he moves to the interior, though. I really wanted to grab some more depth on the offensive line. I probably wish I could have got a tackle here, but again, I went with value. I just wanted to grab very talented players. And I think I did a good job of that. The Minnesota Vikings, very divisive. They're not gonna like that. And you know what? Go to my Minnesota mock draft if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, and I kind of touch up on the issue I have with Minnesota in that 14th pick. Because for me, if it's not Darisaw, I'm not gonna read. For me, Elijah Vera Tucker, it's not a sexy pick. I'd rather trade down from there. I ended up doing that in the Vikings mock draft I did, and it came out. That draft felt like it came out really well for me. When I'm not doing trades, I'm not gonna reach for a guy that I think is a reach that early in the draft. So I grabbed Phillips. And then, I mean, the value, like the position wasn't there. I was kind of eyeing Kendrick. What was it? Kendrick. Now I can't remember his name. Kendrick Green. I wanted to get Kendrick Green. He got snagged like a few picks ahead of me, because it's me that's drafting for all these teams. So I'm like, oh, I like that here. Can't help it. I can't help it. But so we grabbed Ardarius Washington, who could probably play in the slot now with Jeff Gladney we don't know. But Deontay Smith, I grabbed at 90. He might end up being a guard in the league. So I like that there. Jalen Moore, very explosive. His play was a bit up and down, but like from an athletic standpoint, I think he can be very good at tackle. He's just not ready now. So I thought that was a good get later on in the draft. But we grabbed a couple of USC guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, the wide receiver depth kind of sucks there in Minnesota. So I kind of like him, man. He's a very safe option. Jay Tufele is a little explosiveness there on the interior. Christian Uphoff, phenomenal value. I think he'd be a really good safety. Kenneth Gainwell, though, very interesting. Like, I was like, we could play around with this cat. This cat could be a real weapon, especially with how often hurt, Devontae Cook has been. Dalvin Cook. Why did I say Devontae? Then I got Derek Brown, who kind of remind me a bit of Anthony Barr, like a poor man's Anthony Barr. And then I grabbed a kicker for you, McPherson. Fierce. There you go. And then the New England Patriots. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was just like, I want to try to go out and have a Bill Belichick draft. I feel like this is a Bill Belichick draft. Outside of Mac Jones. Mac Jones feels kind of weird for the Patriots, but it's really hard to predict where he goes. We grabbed Rondale Moore, utter weapon. You'd be like, oh, that doesn't sound like something Bill Belichick would do. Oh, man, I imagine he doesn't mind grabbing a guy that he could kind of like fiddle with wherever on the field. Michael Carter feels very James White-esque to me, like high-end James White. And then Marlon Tuipulotu, just want to add a depth on the line. Gillespie is, I think, potentially could contend with Adrian Phillips. But Adrian Phillips is a very good vet. Rondarius Williams, not a lot of upside, but he's a good scheme fit. Charles Snowden just feels like a Bill Belichick type of player. Tariq Thompson, he had a bad pro day. he might fall further than this, might not even get drafted, but I think Bill Belichick would look at a guy like this who's had a very good career there at San Diego State. And is like, I could work with him. I think he'd be a good slot. Quinton Bohanna, big boy nose tackle, and then Blake Proell, man. I'm just going to say, Julian Edelman vibes. Not really. He's like not as fast, but he a white possession receiver. Oh, I'm out here making stereotypes. Oh, gosh. I'm stupid. All right, New Orleans Saints. Very interesting draft class, I'll admit that. We went with a big-bodied speed threat in Marshall. Grabbed Jabril Cox. I thought it was good value, good coverage receiver. Kellen Mond. Why not? Who knows what's going to happen at the quarterback position next year. Khalil Herbert. Yeah, just go ahead and get, like, Khalil Herbert would be a good 1-2 with Kamara. And then I grabbed Rashad Wildgoose. I really wish I could have grabbed corner earlier. I just never felt like the value was there. But Wildgoose is a good scheme fit. Patrick Jones, he's solid. Like, he could be a solid depth piece. But I like actually Ellerson Smith a bit better because he could move to the interior on passing downs and be pretty good. And then we grabbed a punter because Morstead's not there anymore. So New York Giants. We grabbed Smith, and then Gregor Rousseau ends up falling to us at 42. Fabulous. Marvin Wilson might cushion the blow from losing Dalvin Tomlin. Then we got Deontay Brown, I think is a pretty darn good scheme fit, actually, for Joe Judge. Elijah Mitchell, just some insurance there with Barkley, being hurt last year. And then Garrett Wallow. It was like a 200, and he was like one of the top guys on my board. It was hard to pass. Hard to pass up. I'm a sucker for these safeties that convert to linebacker. I'm a sucker. And he's actually a sneaky good pass rusher. And then the New York Jets. I knew going into this I wanted to address corner. I know that they have like guys like Bryce Hall from last year, but I have no problem just addressing the corner position. You want to have a very good corner position in a passing league. So we did that with Kelvin Joseph, and then with the next pick, Benjamin St. Juste. Both guys I think that can fit Saleh's scheme very well. Very interested in who rises to the top, because you're not going to hit it on all these guys. Kadarius Toney just seems like a scary weapon, man. I really think he goes in the first round. But yeah, he's here for us, so we took him. Jordan Smith, very raw. A lot of upside though. A lot of upside. Cameron McGrone, it's more athletic option there in the middle of the field. Trey Sermon, the value was there. I mean, he's probably better than whatever they have at running back right now. Lyric Jackson feels like a good scheme fit, whether it's at guard or tackle for a play action heavy scheme, which I assume that's the route they're going to be going with LaFleur there. And then Tony Paulson's just a good tight end too. And then the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't list Kwity Paye on here because they had 11 picks, didn't have the room. But Eagles fans, I know you're gonna let me know. Yeah. You don't love Kwity Paye. Sorry. Didn't do trade downs. But when we went De'Ami Brown, I kind of knew what type of receiver I wanted to get for Jalen Hurts to kind of maximize. I just wanted to bring in guys that I thought complement him. And for me, Brown has that skill set. Even Dax Milne, he has a similar, not a similar skill set to Brown, but he can complement more so in the intermediate, while Brown's more so a deep receiver. Hurts, man, I think where he is great, well, not great, but where he does well is the intermediate to long passing game. Tay Gowan at corner. I'm a big Tay Gowan fan. Baron Brown, an interesting choice. I'm interested to see how he may get utilized. I would assume they would take big advantage of him on passing downs as a rusher. Robert Rochelle won't be ready to start, but a lot of good upside there. Kenny Yeboah, wanted to grab a receiving tight end since I don't know what's going to go on with Zach Ertz. Royce Newman's just a good scheme fit. Richie LeCount was just kind of good value there, but I don't feel great about him. I could see him going undrafted. Then we went with Chauncey Golston, who I could see kick into the inside on passing downs, but it's late round picks. We're just going to kind of take value. Jimmy Morrissey might be an average starter at center in the league at best. Maybe just a good depth piece. And at 240, what more do you want? And then the Pittsburgh Steelers. We did a trade. I traded up with the Cardinals to get Najee Harris because I really think they're going to get Najee Harris. They're probably going to do it in the first round. I should have just done that with my mock and predicted that, but I didn't. Then we grabbed Rashad Weaver because I like his fit as maybe a 3-4 end here. Get him in on that rotation. And at 84 or 87, that's really good value. Hunter Long was also very good value. It was hard to pass up on him. Then I grabbed a long snapper. You had one of the lowest, I think only the Titans had like the lowest graded long snapper in the league, but they actually went out and got a long snapper in free agency. So I grabbed y'all a long snapper. Typically one goes every year. I had to figure out where to put one. Steelers, you happen to be one where I put one. And then Menet there is kind of the same what I said about Morrissey. He might be maybe just a solid depth piece there at center. Trevon Grimes, I really wanted to like throw a receiver there, and I mean Grimes is a bit of a physical freak, so we'll see what they do. Maybe a replacement for James Washington. So that's what I did. I think this is a good draft for you, Steelers. I'm sure I'll hear otherwise. And then the Seattle Seahawks. I only had 3 picks, so I just went with value at every pick. 250. Jacob Harris, very raw, but like he's a vertical slot. He tested out great. Huge guy, too. So just a lot of upside. Marco Wilson, again, I went with the guy with a lot of upside. He was kind of the best option at corner at that point. And since I went Creed Humphrey, I was like, I really should address corner. So I think this is pretty solid despite the lack of like picks. I'm sure they'll acquire more picks as the draft gets underway. The 49ers, we grabbed Fields, and then we grabbed Quentin Miners, who I think could be a real good scheme fit. Trill Williams may have been a bit early for him, but I want to go grab him. He could be a safety, maybe outside corner. Then we got Sean Wade, who more than likely, I put DB. I think he's going to be like a box safety, maybe a slot. Maybe he sticks there as slot, but something's telling me he may just be a box safety. But we'll see. Amir Smith-Marsette's just kind of a good scheme fit. Like, I could see Kyle Shanahan really making use of his after-the-catch ability. And at the very least, you get a really good return man. Jadon Heron is uber athletic. I'm sure he could find a spot on this line. I'm a big fan. No one's talking about that cat. Chris Brown, he was falling. I mean, I think ideally Williams ends up being an outside corner for us, and then Wade's a box, and maybe Chris Brown maybe ends up being a deep safety. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, at 180, you're really just taking value. We grabbed Chris Evans at 194 was really good value. And then Tony Fields, I like the idea of grabbing a very athletic linebacker. Granted, not great size, but I mean, Shanahan, he likes the athletic linebacker types. Well, Saleh did, but I imagine they're not going to change too much. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I just went and grabbed value. Carlos Basham, I can see an immediate role for. Elijah Molden, I think, can instantly challenge Sean Murphy Bunting there in the slot, or he ends up playing there deep with Antonio Winfield. Ben Cleveland, I think, can challenge Alex Kappa, man. Stone Forsythe, maybe a potential starting tackle in the future. Janoris Robinson has some very good length, maybe worth developing. KJ Stepherson, another interesting prospect there. Spencer Brown gives me some James Robinson vibes. So Leonard Fournette, he might not be there in another year. And then Felipe Franks, because why not? It was the last pick. If anyone was going to be Mr. Irrelevant, it was going to be Felipe Franks. And then the Tennessee Titans. Caleb Farley, bit of a risky pick, but we went with it there. Liam McNeil, I love in this class. Couldn't pass up. And Daquan Brown just signed with another team. So, bam, you got your nose there. Jalen Mayfield, you start him at right tackle. Hopefully it works. If not, you might have a good guard on your hands. Brevin Jordan didn't look like physical specimen. I thought he was there on his pro day, but still, I think he could be a Jonnu Smith type of tight end. Nico Collins could immediately be a good replacement for Corey Davis. We got Kylan Hill. I really wanted a running back that could do a little something in the passing game. Hill is that. Frank Darby gives you a guy that can play in the slot or even the outside. Gives you a lot of after the catch ability and some vertical ability. I like that too. Antonio Phillips is a developmental corner, but he's got some good length to him. And then Darren Hall's interesting. He had one of the highest win rates at the Senior Bowl, but I don't know if he's a slot or a box safety, but good value at 232. And then finally, the Washington football team. When I find them here we go. And I'm gonna be straight up honest. For me, this was one of the more disappointing draft classes I had. Was the one I had for Washington. But like I said, they're not gonna be all gold for some teams. But I really tried to get some good value there. Like I loved the JOK pick. I think he's a good fit. There for Rivera for the defense. Liam Eichenberg, I really don't think he ends up as tackle. This was a thing, and he happened to be the guy on the board. And then after the pick, I was like, I should have went with like Alex Leatherwood, but the pick, I already made the pick, so that I didn't feel great about. Kyle Trask I did like, though. Why not? They're at 74. Aaron Robinson I loved at 82, though, because he also can play the slot, but he could potentially play on the outside there. And if they're really going to play a bit more man defense or man coverage, Robinson's definitely the guy. I liked Kay Johnson. I think he could come in there and mix it up with Curtis Samuel and Scary Terry. Ernest Jones, he's more of a middle linebacker, which is great because JOK won't be. Just needs to get better in coverage, but very athletic. Sage Surratt, just a big body receiver at 244. I mean, he could easily go before this, but I don't know. It was just great value. And then Ashari Crosswell was just a shot, just taking a shot. Super athletic. Some character concerns from 2020 because he decided to quit the team after he got benched. And he has a lot of blown coverages, but like the athleticism's there. Maybe you figure out what's the best place to put him in that defense. But yeah, that's what I ended up going with. Well, I don't think it's a bad draft class. I think it was definitely one of my more disappointed ones. But I really think it's not a bad class. I really tried my best with each of these. But you let me know in the comment section below. And that's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.